everybody? It's AT. Appreciate you tuning in for this Aaron Torres Pod YouTube bonus clip. In just one moment, we're going to get to a very interesting piece of news out of Colorado. Shedeur Sanders. He said something I hope you were paying attention to over the weekend, and you know we've got to discuss. Before we get to that, though, please make sure to subscribe to the Aaron Torres Pod YouTube channel. See that little subscribe button at the bottom of the screen? Go ahead, click that subscribe button. New videos, new clips, full shows every single day on this channel. Appreciate your support. Closing in on 35K. Cannot do it without you. Make sure to subscribe. With that said, let's get to what I think is a very interesting piece of news out of the college football world from over the weekend. And it came from a place that, frankly, has been pretty quiet over the last couple weeks, and that is Boulder, Colorado, and the Colorado Buffaloes. Obviously, Coach Prime, he's kind of always in the news, but it's been a quiet few weeks after National Signing Day. The portal got kind of quiet, not as much going on, although Colorado has certainly added a couple interesting names here over the last week or so. But I bring it up because on Saturday, I thought Shedeur Sanders tweeted something that was very interesting to me, okay? So obviously, for people who do not know, NFL draft deadline is coming. This coming Monday, by the time many of you listen to this, the NFL draft deadline will have hit. If you are a college player that is going pro, you have to publicly, or at least privately, make the announcement by Monday. That is the deadline. And so I bring it up because I guess there was sort of maybe some possible speculation. Could Shedeur Sanders, star quarterback Colorado, leave the Buffaloes after this season? Well, Shedeur Sanders, to his credit, completely put that to rest by tweeting out on Saturday afternoon. Let's see if I can find the quote. Somehow I lost it. We'll get it in a moment. Shedeur Sanders on Saturday tweeted out very simple. He said, quote, and I'm waiting for the tweet to load. Y'all know I'm not declaring this year. We got the pieces we need to do it big this year, 100. And so all I will say is I guess there wasn't, I don't really think there was a serious thought that Shedeur was going to announce this coming week. But I bring it up because anybody that was worried that Shedeur might go pro, that is officially put to rest. But here is the interesting question. Do you believe that Colorado and Shedeur Sanders and the Buffaloes are an ascending program after a 4-8 year? Because I am here to tell you, and we've talked about it already a little bit this offseason, and we'll talk about it plenty more in the coming weeks. I happen to think Shedeur Sanders is right, and I happen to think Colorado has a chance to be much, 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 much improved from a year ago. And so whenever I say anything positive about Colorado, and you know it happens all the time, I get all the pushback. Oh, Torres, you're just kissing Coach Prime's butt. You don't really mean it. They stink. They went 4-8 a year ago. And what I'll say is, listen, I'll say what I've said since early December. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't great. I do think 4-8 by both mathematics and eye test was an improvement from 1-11. I also think this program has a lot of work as well. But the idea that because you went 4-8, in year one of a coaching change and coaching regime change, that you can't improve in year two is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And I think this is a lot of where Shedeur's comments kind of align with my thoughts on this team. First off, we have plenty of examples of year one, coaching change. It doesn't look good. You wonder if you have the guy. And then year two, you're obviously trending in the right direction. Just look at this year. Mario Cristobal, year one, Miami. 5-7. Oh, Miami should never be this bad. How are they losing? They lost to Middle Tennessee State. They stink. Blah, 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 whatever. Did you watch them this year? They weren't great, but they were improved. 7-5. They make a bowl game. By the way, if Mario Cristobal knew how to properly take a knee, they would have been 8-4 in the regular season. And so Mario Cristobal had an off season a lot like the one that Colorado is currently going through right now a year ago. Some of his hires worked and some of them didn't. He moved on from certain guys on the coaching staff. Some of the players that he brought in worked and some of them didn't. So he adjusted from there. He made moves in the portal. He had a very good recruiting class as well. And so Miami goes from 5-7 to 7-5 in year one. Year two, excuse me. Let's use an even better example. The Oklahoma Sooners. Because year one, Brent Venables takes over a program. Now, they were much better when he took over, but obviously in hindsight, there were some culture issues. There were some problem issues. And Lincoln Riley leaves. A bunch of players leave with him. And Oklahoma, bluntly, was not very good in year one under Brent Venables. They go 5-7, kind of have the offense figured out. The defense is a total mess, the worst defense statistically in the Big 12. Well, guess what happens? Year two, tighten up the defense, bring in some guys, hit the portal, sign some guys in recruiting. And next thing you know, Oklahoma goes from 5-7 to 10-3 this year. By the way, really good offense, struggling defense. What does that sound like? What does Oklahoma, what I just told you, sound like? It sounds like Colorado this year. The offense was good. The defense wasn't good enough. Defense gets a little bit better. All of a sudden, the team looks a lot better. Another example. Listen, I keep using this one, and I know it's from year two to year three, but I do think it's applicable. The Arizona Wildcats. Year two, under Jed Fish, they go 5-7, struggling. They don't look great, blah, 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 whatever. And then next thing you know, they go 10-3 this year. If you have the right coach, if you have the right players, if you have the right system. Now, I know Arizona was from year two to year three, but at the same time, they didn't. I'm not going to just go on and on about Arizona. The point I'm trying to make is you can make significant leaps from year one to year two. By the way, especially coming off a season when you lost a lot of close games. Like, that's the part that nobody ever wants to talk about with Colorado. You went 4-8. I get it. The hype was a lot in September when they were 3-0 and beating Nebraska and Colorado and TCU. But at the same time, look at the back half of the schedule. 7-point loss to USC in a game where if Sean Lewis used the clock properly, maybe it's a different result. 3-point walk-off loss to an Arizona team that, as I just told you, won 10 games this past season. 6-point loss to Utah. 7-point loss, whatever it was, to an Oregon State team that won 8-9 games. Like, it's not as bad as you think it is. And I would say this. There are certain things that you don't even need to improve the talent to fix. Like, if you just clean up the penalties to me are the thing that have to get fixed next year more than any position group, any skill talent, any this, any line play, any whatever. You just get the penalties cleaned up. All of a sudden, that's extra yards you're not giving to the other team, extra points you're not putting on the board. And so I could go on, but I don't think they're that far off. And the other thing, and I truly believe this, I think the talent on that roster is better than people think. Now, it's not perfect. You're not beating whoever, Georgia, Texas, Alabama in week one. But you look at the talent on that roster. Shedeur's an NFL quarterback. And to me, the most important position group that has to get fixed and we think is fixed, certainly will be improved, is the offensive line. If the offensive line is even just a little bit better than it was a year ago, then you can run the football. Then all of a sudden the pass game becomes much more explosive. And here's the thing. The run game has really talented players. Dylan Edwards, former 4-star, was committed to Notre Dame, flips to Colorado. Alton McCaskill, really good at Houston 2 years ago, gets hurt, tries to come back this year, is banged up. Coach Prime says, you know what? We're not going to rush you. So you have the backs in the building. The wide receiver room, listen, I don't know if it's the best in the country. I would say Ohio State probably is, to be perfectly honest. It's in the short conversation, though. Jimmy Horn, almost 60 catches this year. Travis Hunter, almost 60 catches this year. Will Shepard is a stud from Vanderbilt. Draylon Miller, 4-star, committed to Texas A&M. He's coming. The Wester kid, LeJante Wester from Florida Atlantic, 1,000-yard receiver. Shedeur is going to have so many weapons this year. And I do think the defense will be improved, even if it won't be perfect. So I get it. The defense certainly needs work, but it's going to be improved. They brought in some real dudes now. They brought in some real difference makers there. Now, do you have enough to sustain a 12-game season? It's not going to be easy. I'm not going to lie. But you have some big-time players returning. You have some big-time players coming in. You know, Destin Wade, the linebacker from Kentucky, is really good. We talked about him. Kentucky did not want to lose that kid. Make no mistake about it. Quincy Wiggins, LSU, fringe 5-star coming out of high school. Didn't work, but look at LSU's defense this past year. Was it the player's fault or was it the coach's fault? I'm guessing it's the coach's because they fired the whole defensive staff. The kid from Pitt was one of the best players in the portal. Had offers from the entire SEC, wants to go to Colorado. So I am here to tell you, I'm riding with Shedeur Sanders. I don't think this team is perfect. I don't think they're going 12-0. They played a lot of close games. The biggest indicator of a jump from one year to another, if you lose a lot of close games and you bring back a lot of guys, you bring back your coaching staff, historically that tells you you're going to go from a lot of close wins, a lot of close losses to wins. The talent is in the building. And I'm just here to tell you, I don't know if Shedeur was ever seriously considering going, but I think he's right. I think this team is not nearly as far as people think. And I think this team has a chance to be very, 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 very good in 2024. By the way, Big 12. We'll see what happens there. But listen, I think you could argue Utah and Arizona, based on the rosters that they have right now, are good enough to win that league. Colorado almost beat both of them last year. So I'm here to tell you, I don't think they're that far off. I think they're going to surprise some people. And I think it'll be more sustained this coming year. Last year was like a lightning bolt. They start 3-0. They're the biggest story maybe in sports in that moment. They struggled from there. I think you're looking at a significantly improved team, a significantly improved win total. Do think it starts with the O-line. Got to clean up the penalties. Defense, you'd like to add some more bodies this offseason. But I'm here to tell you, I'm with Shedeur. If you enjoyed this video, do me a quick favor. Make sure to subscribe to the Aaron Torres Pod YouTube channel. New clips, new videos, all that good stuff. A lot of more content, bonus content coming. Appreciate your support. Be back later tonight with some more college football news and notes.